Voila, voila,
Voila.
voila, voila, voila. Uh, we got to get our intro. We always do something with our intro. Just there we go. There we go. Let's hit the pause. Welcome to another Bottom Line Sports Show. Gerald Brown, Chante Cheeks, and Chante, there's not going to be any jokes about my injury, anything like that. We're not going to have any of that whatsoever because the last person I would want to know about my injury is the gentleman that just showed up, former outstanding basketball player at the Michigan State University, also spent some time in the NBA. In fact, I think he could still play in the NBA. Mr. Charlie Bell joins us. Mr. Bell.
Hey, what's going on?
I'm glad you started to let your hair, your mustache, and all that stuff grow out, man. I've been here this whole thing.
I'm just doing something different, man. You know, just trying something.
The ladies and stuff. The ladies and stuff I heard been going crazy over that, man. That's the word I've been getting. I said, I don't want nobody try to upstart me and outshine me now. Come on now.
Man, I see you over there with the baby hair, though.
See?
Can you even grow that? I don't even know, man.
See, there you go, man.
No, you can't.
Hey, you know what, Charlie? Thanks again for joining.
Got that baby face over there, man.
See, man, I don't know, man. I'm older than you and her, too. I know that. So, I mean, I don't know. It's just good genes, good genes. Charlie, thanks again for joining us. I want to get right to it, and I want to ask both of you, and I want to start off with you, Charlie. Just the whole situation with Donald Sterling. I know we spoke last week on Sirius XM, and it was still fresh information. So it was something that we didn't get an opportunity. But Charlie, we understand the whole the penalty that's been handed down, lifetime ban, and all that stuff. But according to Jim Gray from Fox Sports, who interviewed Clippers owner Donald Sterling before Commissioner Silver implemented the lifetime ban. He stated that he would not be selling the Los Angeles Clippers. Charlie, could this be a problem if this team is not sold by the start of training camp next year?
Oh, most definitely. I think as far as Doc Rivers and the coaching staff, and I think a lot of players have made, like some players have probably come out and said that if this guy doesn't sell the team, they're going to seek trades or some type of way to try to get out of their contracts. So I think if he doesn't sell the team, it can be a real problem, and then nobody's going to want to go there. Nobody's going to want to go and play for that guy. So it's going to be a big problem if he doesn't sell the team. I'm sure the other owners and the commissioner, everybody's going to put pressure on him to get rid of and to sell it.
Yeah.
You know what I was wondering? If he doesn't sell, I'm sure he's going to make it difficult for everybody. If he prolongs and doesn't sell by the start of next season, do you think that there's going to be players that stay there, or will he be able to sign new players?
I don't think so. I don't think nobody is going to want to go there. I think, especially the way social media is and the way, everybody's, their family and friends, it's going to be a lot of pressure, no matter how much money it is, to go there and try to play. And I think it's going to be a lot of guys, just trying to get out of there. Nobody's going to want to play for a guy like that, and that's just the way that it's going. So I think it's going to force him. He's going to have to get rid of the team, or he's not going to have a team.
Yeah, I completely agree. Too much pressure. The whole world is going to, be watching you. You'll be public enemy number one if you.
You'll seem like a sellout. Like oh man, you just
exactly.
Going for the money. So everybody's going to be riding you like, hey man, why you playing there? So I don't think nobody's going to want to be there.
Yeah,
exactly.
Chante, as a fan, were you happy with the decision? I mean, as a fan, did you think that it was a suffice penalty to fit the punishment?
Yeah, I was excited about the ban. I was surprised, honestly. I didn't think he was Silver was gonna come down that hard, but I was excited when I heard it. Banned for life, can't attend any games, any NBA meetings, and they're going to try to pressure him to sell. I think that was the right thing to do. So yeah, I dug it.
Yeah, it's really interesting. J.R. Holden joining us right now. J.R. I like the shirt, man. I like the shirt. got them old music video shirts you always be coming out with, man. You know? Old music video shirts. Love is love. Love is love. I like that. I like that. JR, your thoughts on just the whole band itself? I mean, it was really not surprising, but your thoughts on the band?
I mean, it was. I think the decision was good. I wish it would have happened or it was handled a little differently, but I thought overall the decision was a good decision and it was good for the NBA.
Yeah, it was something that was really needed. Charlie, I want to ask you and Chante this question, and I mean, again, I just thought about it. Excuse me, Charlie and JR. I want to ask you guys this question in terms of, you know, the racist behavior in sports is more prevalent overseas, and you guys have been able to play overseas. I think it was just recently a gentleman said there was a social media marketing campaign where they threw a banana on the field at a soccer game, and he picked up the banana and ate the banana. But that has been customary in terms of just the sort of racist type of behavior that most African Americans are shown overseas in Europe. From your standpoint, guys, have you ever experienced something, maybe not to this level, but in terms of that, do you just sort of just a customary, is it a way of life in terms of what have those types of things happening overseas? First, you, Charlie.
You know, I really haven't had it happen, you know, per se. It's like somebody just really coming at me like on a personal level. But it was a time I was playing in Italy and going off the court, you know, I was playing well. And somebody just shouted something out from the crowd, and I kind of looked at him. I was like, and I looked at one of my teammates because he was real adamant of what he was saying. I looked at one of my teammates. I said, you know, what is he saying? He said, you don't want to know. I was like, what was it? Like, it's bad. It's really bad. And I was just like, whoa. And I didn't want to know. I was just like, you know what? I'm not going to let that, you know, negative thoughts enter my mind. You know, I'm going to continue to go out there and play. And no matter, you know, what nobody thinks of me. And I think it's different from here in the U.S. because they don't see as many, you know, African Americans over there. I mean, mostly if they do, you know, it's guys from it's immigrants and stuff from Africa who over there, you know, kind of like very, very poor and, you know, selling stuff. So you don't really see, people of, African American descent that much. So it's something new for a lot of people over there.
Yeah, and now JR, again, I know Sekou, great friend of ours and stuff, and one of your former teammates at Bucknell, was really just talking about that whole situation. We do not understand that in certain places, and I think you had actually mentioned it, in terms of fans, they would throw coins and all that stuff. That's sort of a way of life for, you know, the European basketball. But just talk about your experiences and how this would have been handled differently, if it would have been handled differently, if this would have transpired over in Europe.
My experience is a little different than Charlie because I wasn't privileged enough to be chilling in Italy.
See?
I was in Latvia starting off, so I had an experience in Latvia that was tough just because I was young, and as soon as I ran onto the court, we were in a little city in Latvia that probably haven't seen but 10 Black Americans in ever, and from the whole game, from the beginning to the end, it was just a section that just kept saying the N-word the whole entire game. And I put it in my book, man. It was a player on my team, not to this day, Edgar Snaps, who came over and put his arm around me, and he said, man, just play basketball. They've never seen anyone like you before. Don't listen to it. And literally that whole bus ride home, I cried, man, because I felt like I didn't represent other Americans well because I let it go. I just played basketball. Even though it's 100 to 1, what was I going to do? It was just the fact that I never had witnessed something like that, and no one said anything. Not my coach, and they just said it from the beginning of the game to the end, just the N-word over and over and over. And it was just something that I battled with, and I didn't leave Latvia. I mean, it was my first job, but at the end of the day, it was something I experienced, and I think I learned a lot about myself and just about people in general through the experience.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And JR, just really going back to just what you talked about, guys, and I want to ask you first, JR, and then I want to come back to you, Charlie, and Chante. I have a question in regards to just really out there with the whole Donald Sterling. JR, in playing in a place like Russia and Moscow, as well as Charlie, do you think that obviously because you guys had success on the basketball court that it kind of sort of eased the situation where you were able to fit in, but you still knew that you wasn't really accepted because of who you are. It was based upon the fact is that you played on the team. Did you kind of get that sense, JR? Because I know Sekou went out there, and Sekou, it sounds kind of funny, but it was really just eye-opening when he told me he went to the museum, and the kids at a school group was pointing at him like, yo. And I said, man, you should have put out a little brown paper bag and see if you get you some money. But it just goes to show that, it was crazy. It's a true story. But JR, did you really feel that, it wasn't really because of the fact is who you are, but yet the fact is what you were a part of that allowed you to be accepted in a lot of various circles?
Definitely in a place like Russia. I mean, you know what they're going through now. You know some of the things their president has already said. It's just a place that they don't accept outsiders no matter who you are. Just being American doesn't matter if you're white or black. You're an American. So, of course, in my situation, being an African American and playing basketball definitely gave me a pass in a lot of areas in life. They still celebrate Hitler's birthday in Russia. That was a day that we didn't even have practice. That usually they killed an African on a train going to the university every year. That was something that was in every newspaper called the Moscow Times, that you just, as a black man, you should not go outside, African or not. So that's something that they still deal with today. So I really can't sit here and say that, I can't really sit here and say that it's safe, but I can say that I got a pass and I was a lot safer because I had an owner by the name of Mikhail Prokhorov that made sure we were safe. And, playing for Moscow gave me a pass just to be in the streets of Moscow.
You talk about a real purge, and forget about the movie. That was the purge for real. Charlie, I'm very surprised about that because you played in a place like Italy that you would think is very diverse and stuff. And just in those circles, do you really feel that, if you didn't play basketball and play at an elite level, did you really feel that people wouldn't accept you?
Especially my first couple years over there. I think it's gotten better over time because, basketball has grown as a sport over there, and, they're probably seeing more African Americans or more Black Americans, over there. But my first couple years over there, you definitely, when you go to like the mall and different places like that, where, especially like you were saying, like little kids, that's something that they don't see every day. It's not something when they go to school, they're going to see a black kid. They're not going to, it's almost like, sometimes you feel like a fish out of water. And so most of the time, if you are that Black American, most people who are like older, they know that you're there just to play basketball. You must play on a basketball team. I used to get that all the time. Oh, you must play basketball. yeah, I do. Yeah. So it's like, so you get like a little, a pass. Everybody tries to help you out. But at the same time, you do feel like a fish out of water. Like everybody's kind of like looking at you to see what you're going to do. So it's like you always kind of like, you have to be on your best behavior because, most times, people are going to look for you to do something that, wrong, something bad because you're different. Like, oh, something must be, but if you're like, you just continue to, to be the person you are, most people, start to, accept you for who you are.
Yeah, and it's so funny because, it's not funny, but I recall the young man that played at, I can't think of his name. I see his face. That played at Oklahoma and was actually attacked, brutally attacked and stuff. The point guard, Hollis. I think his name's Hollis. The first name Hollis. Hollis Price. Yeah, and it just seems that again when we're dealing with this this whole racial situation associated with basketball, it's a way of life in a lot of the countries outside of the United States. Getting back to the stateside, Chante, L.A. has been dealing with this since last Saturday, actually Friday night when this story broke. What has been the sentiment of the whole city of L.A.? What has just been the vibe with the local media and everything? Has it heightened or has it died down some?
It's died down a little bit, but the concern was pretty high. This is still a LA Laker town, so there was a lot of comparisons between Dr. Buss and Donald Sterling, and it would have never happened, on the Lakers side of things. But this is bigger than like LA. I think, the city kind of, came together, black, white, whoever you spoke to, everyone agreed that this was, like the most terrible thing that can happen. It was uncalled for and, he should lose the team. So I think there was just a lot of unity in the city, especially yesterday when the verdict came down. But we feel pretty much the same way everyone feels. It wasn't about LA. It was just about, the NBA in general.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Here on the Bottom Line Sports Show, Gerald Brown, J.R. Holden, Charlie Bell, and the lovely Chante Cheeks. Upcoming, Stephen Morris, former quarterback of the U, is going to tell his story. Also, Miami Heat blogger CassidyJordan joining us. JR, Charlie, let's get back onto the hardwood and talk some basketball. Charlie, Washington had no problem with Chicago. Memphis and Atlanta are having no problems with the Thunder and the Pacers. Which one is a bigger surprise to you? And are these series the way that they are based upon the matchup advantages or disadvantages?
Right now, I'm not surprised with Atlanta and Indiana. I mean, Indiana came into the playoffs, struggling, and I'm sure that's something that everybody was talking about, how bad they were playing, and how they was just out there going through the motions. There was no real team unity, but everybody was talking about Oklahoma City as a team who was was going to battle for a championship. And for those guys to be down right now, and they've lost a couple games at home, but the thing is, Memphis, the thing about the playoffs is like you got to be able to score in the half court. I think sometimes if you're one of those fast break type teams, you like to get on the open court and play, you're not going to have that many type of opportunities, once the playoffs come. When you look at a team like Memphis, a very good defensive team with Tony Allen out there and my homeboy Zebo, they do a great job in the half court of scoring, in the half court and using it up to their advantage. And right now I'm surprised with that. I'm surprised with the way KD is playing. Westbrook taking a lot of shots. And I think KD needs to step up and say something. I think, he just kind of he lets it happen. And I think, and I was talking about it yesterday on Twitter, it's like, if it was LeBron, everybody would be talking about LeBron right now. But everybody kind of gives KD a pass.
Well, I think the fact is that he's slight, and then let's be honest. If Kevin Durant is not aggressive going to the basket, first of all, it just seems like more than ever, Memphis is just really shut off all the driving lanes. So if you look at their team, they're really perimeter oriented. So the driving lanes are not there, and as long as KD does not post up, he's never going to be. It's all perimeter, and they just run into a situation that they struggle from the perimeter. They're a perimeter-oriented team, so it's very difficult. I don't think you're giving him a pass, but until he has that to his repertoire.
I think he needs to be more aggressive. It's like Tony Allen's up in him, so it's like he's not really fighting that. It's like he's letting it happen. And when I think when Westbrook sees that, it's like, okay, I'm gonna take over. So it's kind of like, right now it's like there's no real chemistry on that team. It's kind of like, Westbrook, is a great player. But sometimes as a point guard, you can't take 30 shots when you got the best scorer.
But who else is going to take it? You want 15 shots from Serge Ibaka?
Durant needs to step up and take more shots.
That's not a bad idea, actually.
I do want 15 shots from Serge Ibaka. I do. Because I feel like if you run a pick and roll with a Russell Westbrook who can get in the lane at will, it's going to open up that 10 and 12 footer for Ibaka all day. Charlie Bell knows that. But he just keeps jacking threes. He took 6 or 7 threes last game. I was like, really? Kevin Durant hit back-to-back jumpers. He comes down. Jump stop three-pointer. I just think he takes ill-advised shots when they can get better shots. 30 shots is a lot for a point guard.
I agree with you. I agree with both of you. I agree with you both. You guys play point guard at pro level.
Y'all can't be surprised though, because Westbrook was crazy last season and the season before. He's always been that guy.
Oh please! Who else is their main scoring option? What other guard and what other player on that team besides KD can get their own shot? That's why I said before, a lot of that stuff is that people want him to do certain things, but are you going to run plays on post up on the block for Kendrick Perkins, Thabo Sefolosha? This is a team that doesn't utilize their bench. So for whatever the things that we go held against Russell Westbrook, I'm not disputing none of that, but just look at the makeup of the team. Without a James Harden, that's just really a two-man show. That's it. And I mean sometimes Russell has been more aggressive than KD. That's it.
I just think you got to create shots for your teammates at times. And I think some of the best people do that. Chris Paul gets Matt Barnes butt-naked threes for a reason. And
Chris Paul is playing with All-Star and Blake Griffin. They're not running no plays with DeAndre Jordan. J.J. Redick is a spot-up shooter. Look at the starting five of the OKC Thunder. And you tell me any other player out there besides Kevin Durant that you can honestly see being a multiple-time All-Star.
Okay, and you say one other player outside of Blake Griffin.
Well, I'm just saying, okay, guys that you would put it like this, guys that you would respect on offense. If you're a coach, you're drawing up in your plans, you're saying that we got to watch this guy. They're going to do that with J.J. Redick. Okay, they'll do it somewhat with Matt Barnes. You can't leave him open. You're not worried about that with Thabo Sefolosha. You're not worried about that with Serge Ibaka. You're not worried about that with Kendrick Perkins. He don't use the bench.
You still can't dispute the fact that Westbrook is a wild boy, Gerald. He's still wild.
And he's still one of the best guards in the league. And I tell you, listen, he has his flaws. I tell you that. He has his flaws. I will not dispute that.
Who would you take right now, Mike Conley or Russell Westbrook?
Mike Conley's more seasoned. Mike Conley is more seasoned. Mike Conley, again, he's not the athlete Mike Conley is not a scoring point guard, but Mike Conley is not as athletic as a Russell Westbrook.
Well, as a point guard, you gotta be able to dictate the flow of the game and know, like, you know what, KD ain't had a shot in about a couple trips. We got to get him a touch. Okay, now we got to get Perkins a touch. Even if he's not a scorer, you got to give him touches. You got to keep everybody on the same page. You just can't come down jacking up shots and KD not touching the ball, this guy not touching the ball. You got to kind of, as a point guard, you got to be a floor general. You just can't be a guy out there just jacking up shots, because now you're messing up the whole chemistry of the team.
Well, no, I agree with you, but I mean, JR, that's like you asking me, who would I take, Keith Applin or Russell Smith? Of course I'm taking Russ Smith. Of course that, you know.
You know what? Something got caught in my throat because Charlie Bell talking about distributing. Man, you talking about the Charlie Bell had that semi joint.
Come on, man. Come on. Look here, I scored over in Europe, man. But look, man, hey, I'm a team player. Come on, man. That's what, you know, when you're in Europe, that's what they ask the American to do. Score the ball. So that's what I had to do. I had to do what I had to do.
Coach Izzo held you back, huh?
I'm just saying, man. I'm a winner, man. Come on, 4 Big Ten championship. I'm a winner, man. Whatever the team needs, that's what I'm gonna do, man. You know, if I need to score more in the NBA, I would. I mean, but the thing was, I was out there with some great players, so I got a triple double in college and the NBA. I mean, come on, I know how to pass the ball, man.
I'm just saying, I played Charlie in Italy. Dude had like 40 on like 38 shots. I was like, damn.
That was how it was, man. I remember we was like in a meeting before the season. The coach said, all right, you know, he had a whole team. He said, well, look, Charlie need to get 25 shots a game. I just kind of looked around like, y'all hear that? You know, that's how it's supposed to be. That's what I'm here for.
Charlie Bell joining us here on the Bottom Line Sports Show. Go ahead, Chante.
Charlie, both the Mavericks and the Nets lost Game 4 at home. Which of those teams do you feel has the best chance to win another game on the road in the first-round series?
Definitely, I would say the Nets. You know, Brooklyn. I'm looking forward to them beating Toronto, even though they're struggling right now. But I want to see that next round with Miami and Brooklyn. You know, with Brooklyn beating Miami 4 times this past, throughout the year. You know, that's going to be a great series. I don't really worry about San Antonio too much. I mean, that's a veteran team. I think they're going to take care of business. You know, they got 2 of the next 3 games at home. So I don't really worry about San Antonio too much. I really think that they're going to make it to the finals, even though Dallas is, giving them a run for their money, because, I mean, they got a great team with, Monte Ellis and Dirk Nowitzki. But, I really think that, they're going to be okay. But the team I want to see, get past in the second round, that's the series I'm really looking forward to, is the Heat versus the Nets.
Yeah, I think we all wait for that.
Since we're talking about playoff series, let's get to the Houston Rockets and the Portland Trailblazers. Do you think in order for Houston to win, they have to run the offense through Dwight Howard?
I don't think so. To me, when I look at Dwight Howard, man, I don't really see him as, a real post-up threat. I mean, he's a great player, great athlete, but, if they're throwing it to Dwight Howard every time down the court, fine. I live with that. If you either foul him or, his post moves are okay, but it's not like something where he's just, he's not LaMarcus Aldridge where he's just unstoppable in the post. Like, he gets going, he's going. I think you can probably play him one-on-one. You don't want to get, Harden going and Jeremy Lin, and you don't want to get that supporting cast going, because that's when you're in trouble.
Yeah. That is definitely the case. Charlie, you know what? Before we let you get on out of here, um, I don't know what that is. Clippers, Warriors. Which team has a better chance of winning on the road to win this series?
I would say the Clippers. I think Golden State is a great offensive team. They're not and I think you got to be a good defensive team to win on the road. Because most of the time at home, you're comfortable. Shooting the ball offensively, you're comfortable. And I think when you look at the Clippers, they're a deeper team. I think they're better coached. I really love Doc Rivers and what he's done. There with the Clippers. So I really think that they're going to come out of that series. I think it's going to go 7 games, but I just don't see, the Warriors going on the road and winning the game. I mean, they can. I mean, they got the Splash Brothers. They got, Andre Iguodala. I mean, they got guys who can score, but I just don't see them. And, I think what hurt them a lot is Bogut not being there, another big body, because, right now they can't do nothing. I mean, my man, Draymond Green doing a great job, against Blake Griffin. But at the same time, they can't stop, the big fella. He's doing a lot of damage, as far as rebounding. And like you said, they don't run plays for him, but at the same time, they're penetrating, dropping it off to him. He's getting offensive rebounds. He just, he's causing a lot of hectic, out there.
Yeah. He always has no problem mentioning those Michigan State Spartans. I tell you that.
I got to, man. Allen Anderson in Brooklyn. I mean, I'm just saying, man, we out there, man.
Yeah, you know what? I have no problem with that. Again, that's your hometown. Listen, I want you and JR to do me a favor. I want to ask you guys this because, I mean, again, we got to make this happen. I don't know if I got to call up Greyhound or Peter Pan or what's the Mega Bus or something like that. We got to get you guys in the studio for at least the draft. Serious XM, for real. I'm just serious. Because, again, it's just this information and you guys having that information. I mean, if I could get the Mega Bus, just go ahead and get you get that Ziploc plastic bag of some chicken and some Wonder Bread.
I talk about chicken, man. What's up, man? You just had this whole Donald Sterling thing, man. You going? What is this?
Brother, if you did not notice, I'm the same complexion and color you are. But all that I'm saying is, we got to get you guys. We need you guys in there at least to break down the draft and all this stuff, man. I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to ask you, can we make this happen?
Oh, no, JR, you in Michigan. JR, you in Michigan, right?
What's up, man? Yeah, I'm in Michigan.
So you in Michigan? See, man, you right there, right around the corner from me, man. I ain't even seen you yet, but I ain't been home in a couple months. But if JR gonna put up the gas money, I'll drive.
Whoa!
Hey, did you hear it? Did you hear this?
He got them long Moscow dollars, man. He got them long Russian money, man.
He's got the rubles. He got some of the rubles, right?
Hey, you see, I'm at home. He's like, man, I ain't been home in 3 months, man. I've been traveling the world, hanging with Magic. Matter of fact, he was at the game in L.A. last night. You ain't seen? See what I'm saying?
Let me just say this. You can tell
I've been in Miami visiting the kids, and I've been in Atlanta, man. I've been chilling, man, laying low.
He's somewhere exquisite because look at that background. That's the type of background where you know what, either you in some nice hotel or you doing some photo shoots and stuff like that. You a photographer and everything like that. You tell the kids do the different background. No. He's somewhere nice. Come on, man.
No comment.
He's got the beard going. He's got his grown and sexy looking at stuff, man. The ladies are going crazy on Facebook. Hey, Charlie. Hey, listen. Thanks again, man. Listen, we definitely look forward to checking in with you as the playoffs continue to move forward, as well as getting your thoughts with the NBA draft right around the corner. In all seriousness, man, I'd love to get you guys definitely in New York and really do a nice roundtable breaking down the upcoming NBA draft, as well as guys, who may be able to play at the elite level overseas. But I definitely look forward to talking to you down the line, Charlie.
Man, sounds great, man. Just let me know.
Always a pleasure. Charlie Bell! Don't say go green.
Yeah, I'm going to holler at you when I'm back in Michigan, man. Don't act funny.
Hey, you know how y'all state dudes do.
I said I'll be back in Michigan next week. JR, don't act funny, man. Don't act like you don't know me.
You see, I got...
Don't act funny, man.
Hey, y'all know how those state dudes do, man. They come back in the city, they act like they don't know you, man. They come back home, they get real brand new.
Come on, man. Love is
Real
love,
brand
man.
new.
You know that. Come on, love, man.
Hey, but you know, I want to have a question in terms of that because we got love is love. I want to ask you this though, Charlie, because we got Stephen Morris coming up, young man that was a quarterback for the University of Miami, in a segment we call "Journey to the NFL" as he gets ready for the NFL draft next week. Who's a real rival for you guys? Because I always knew Cato Jew was Michigan and Ohio State. Who was Michigan State's rival? Is it really Michigan?
I mean, for the most part, yeah. I mean, because everybody looks
Charlie,
at
can
them
you hear me?
as supposed big brother, But the thing is, we want to go out there and beat those guys. I mean, even though when I was there, I mean, we kind of, we had our way with Michigan. I mean, for like the last 10, 15 years, they're starting to do okay now, but we kind of had our way. I mean, one team, I used to hate playing was, Wisconsin. That was always a struggle game for us. And Ohio State, but Michigan was always that team you want to beat just because it's in state. Wherever you go, as far as in Flint, Detroit, you want to walk around with your chest out.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Hey, Charlie, thanks again. We really appreciate it. Talk to you soon, my friend.
All right, y'all take care.
Charlie Bell. And I just got a text from Giovanna. She said, "Oh, I love when you have eye candy on the show." Giovanna, I'm always on the show. I'm always on the show. Talk about Charlie. Get out of here. Charlie went there and put he got his little beard on looking like he Jesse Williams and stuff from Law and Order. I don't know. But again, just the whole situation with, this whole Donald Sterling stuff. And I mean, I'm still a little baffled about it because when it happened on Saturday, it just was so new. And the thing is, I still don't believe it's all done. He's not going to go away quietly. But, JR, think about this. How interesting free agency will be if you add the Clipper players into this upcoming free agency pool?
Would it be crazy? It would be. I would agree. It would be sick. Man, it's not going to happen, though. We both know that. But it would be crazy. The fact that Chris Paul could eventually be a Laker again, Chante would be happy.
Blake, yes.
You know what I mean? Blake Griffin will be on the market to go somewhere. Imagine him in Golden State. So, I really just think it's a sad thing that happened. It was handled the way it was handled. Even though I may disagree with the way it was handled the way it was handled. And, we move on. I think the NBA will move on, and I think by this summer, for the most part, I think it'll be forgotten, to be totally honest with you.
Yeah.
JR, tell us why you disagree with the way it was handled. How would you have done it differently?
Gerald said something earlier on the show that I was going to say as far as I felt like if the players, the day it had happened, LeBron James, every ethnic or every African-American player in the playoffs had decided to not play, it would have been such a worldwide, global thing. There are people in Russia, in Spain, that watch the NBA playoffs. And if these guys had said, we are not playing because we don't want not one racist person being affiliated with the NBA, it would have struck chords in Europe. Because, see, the players make the NBA game. And, see, overseas it's a little different. But if they would have done that, it would have helped. It would have had a global effect. Reality, Russia's not really feeling what just happened. Spain is not really feeling what just happened. They're just saying, oh, this was some incident, some guy said something, so they kicked them out. But if the players had not played, and you're talking about TNT commercials not being on, no games on that Saturday or Sunday, it would have been a shock, and things would have either came to a head really, really fast, or Adam Silver would have said, hey, these 25 or 28 owners are going to go and make sure that these games are played. He's out of here the next day. So I just felt like the players didn't realize how much power they had. And they didn't have to wait for Adam Silver. And it didn't have to be a knee-jerk reaction. It could have been, this is how we're standing up as one for all African-American players, not just here in the NBA, but the soccer players and the European players that play overseas. We're saying racism is dead all over the world. And a person that can do that is the LeBron James, is the Kobe Bryant, is the Kevin Durant, because basketball is so global. So I felt like we could have had a historic moment, almost like a Muhammad Ali moment. This moment could have shook the world, but it really didn't. We just let our Adam Silver come up and take over with what he does best.
Yeah, it's been really interesting. Our next guest is here, gentlemen. We got them all squared away. Last week we've been doing a lot of the stuff really focusing on the upcoming NFL draft. In a segment each year we have titled Journey to the NFL, and you always hear some great, great stories. I tell you this was a gentleman 2 years ago, built into this season, special, and he's going to really surprise a lot of NFL teams coming up. He's a little dark. He's got a cutout or something like that. We got to get him some light behind him. Put your hands together. Get ready for the NFL draft. Former Miami Hurricanes, Stephen Morris. There you go, Stephen.
Better.
Stephen, welcome, Stephen. Thanks again for joining us. Gerald Brown, J.R. Holden, and Chante Cheeks. How's everything going for you?
I'm doing good, man. How's everything with you?
I can't complain at all. Stephen, really with the draft really next week, starting up with the NFL draft next week, what has been the feedback you've been getting in terms of where you might be drafted?
The feedback's always up and down. You hear a lot of things from guys and general managers and assistant general managers. So, I'm just crossing my fingers, keep praying, and hopefully, I'll get picked up somewhere nice and high and to a team that's, successful and has a good quarterback coach and a good system.
Yeah, that's a good situation. Don't rush, because, again, it's always a situation. Be in the situation we can be able to develop and also be able to get paid for it. That's a good thing.
No doubt.
Stephen, tell us how the draft process has been for you so far, and what do you do to keep your stress level down?
For me, the draft process has been definitely long. It's been a continued grind every single day, working out for teams and, flying here, flying there. So it's been a long process, to say the least. But to ease my mind, my parents are a great background for me. They're always there for me as well. So anytime I get to be home with these guys and have an opportunity just to relax, chill on the beach for a little bit, because, you can't let the draft eat you up. You got to have some downtime for yourself to collect your thoughts and get ready.
Through that beach in there, boy.
Chilling.
Stephen, I'm in New York City. I'm in New Jersey in the Northeast. JR he's in Michigan. All we've known is cold weather. Okay, you had to throw that beach in there.
I had to represent Miami. It's my hometown city. Got to represent.
Oh man, I know. And JR, I just spoke to Mike Huger the other day, assistant coach actually for the Miami Hurricanes basketball team. He's a good friend of ours and stuff. He just threw that in there, boy. That beach. That's
I had to.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
Well, since you just rep your city, Florida, and we know that's where you're from. Talk about that Miami-Florida State rivalry. How serious is it, and how has it changed you over your 4 years in school?
Well, it's a huge rivalry, and obviously, college football is really based off of rivalries. You got the Michigan, Ohio State, all the in-state rivalries, and definitely Florida and Florida State, and Miami and Florida State, and Miami and Florida. All those are big in-state school rival games for us, and anytime you have opportunity to play those guys, we took care of business with Florida, and obviously Florida State is a great team, and they won the national championship this year, so they're well deserved and well coached. But for us, it's a lot about respect. You basically grown up with those guys your whole life, and you played against them in high school ever since Pop Warner to now. You're on the big stage with college football, so it's a huge rivalry game for us. Big in terms of recruiting. A lot of kids out of South Florida go to one of those big three schools, so it's a huge rivalry altogether.
Stephen, if you don't get hurt that junior year, I think you guys beat them. And I love Florida State football, and I mean, again, you don't get hurt that ankle injury.
Yeah. It's one of those games definitely. I'm always going to remember and always think about. What if, and those are one of those things that you never want to think about, but it's always going to be in the back of my mind. Our junior year was our best year to play, and we had all the talent, we had all the accolades on the team, so it's always going to be a tough one.
Nah, that's understandable, but hey, it's those days that make you build who you are, bigger and stronger. It's not a problem at all. Now, Stephen, congratulations. You won that $10,000 from Adidas. Congratulations. You won $10,000 by Adidas, really becoming, I guess, the fastest time at the combines for quarterbacks.
Yes.
Which Adidas gave out $10,000. What's the first thought that came to mind when you got that $10,000, Stephen? Don't you tell no stories now.
No, the first thing I did, you know, I had to be smart with my money. I had to manage it correctly, so I set up an own bank account for it, and you know, hopefully it will last me a couple years, and just keeping it saving for now.
Now, Stephen,
Did he really just say a couple years? Did he really just say that?
I didn't ask him what he did with the money. I said, what was your first thought when you won the money?
Thought, man, I was just so excited. You know, when I saw my name on the fastest official quarterback time, I was just like, hey, my bank account's gonna be happy for me. So it was great.
There's nothing wrong with that. I know what I would have said. I'm rich.
I gotta be modest here. You know, modest.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well said. Well said.
Steven, if you had the chance to talk to all the GMs, if they were listening right now, what would you say to them? What would you want them to know about yourself? If you wanted to play for the best team in the NFL, the Dallas Cowboys, what would you say to Jerry Jones right now?
I'll say character's a big thing. And when you're drafting a quarterback, you know, you're obviously going to look at all the accolades of him, his ability to move the chains and everything on the field. But off the field, you know, you got to be that public figure for the team. And definitely know I can fit that position. You know, my whole mindset is team first and do everything right, especially when no one's looking. So you never have to worry about me and any off-field issues and anything like that. You know, I'm always that guy that's going to be the hard worker, gets there first and is the last guy to leave. So, you know, on the field, obviously I can make every single throw. I'm improving every single day with my coaches down here in Miami as well as in L.A. So I'm just working. I'm always going to continue to get better. I'm always going to compete with other guys to continue to improve those guys as well as myself.
Well said. He is Stephen Morris, the outstanding quarterback here on the Bottom Line Sports Show. Gerald Brown, J.R. Holden, Chante Cheeks. In the segment we titled "The Journey to the Field." Stephen, you know, again, right now you got all the playoffs going on. Who do you like, and what are your thoughts as far on the NBA playoffs?
You know, I'm definitely going to have to go with the Miami Heat, man. You know, I was a fan ever since, you know, they had bad seasons a couple years ago to the LeBron coming in the Big Three and, you know, all the championships that those guys have won. I'm always rooting for those guys.
It's easy to get on with a winner, so it's not mad at you. It's not bad at you at all. Not bad at you all.
And remember Glenn Rice and Ronnie Cycli, though.
He's too
young. That's a long time ago now, Paul. That's a long time ago.
He's too young, JR. Come on, man. He's on Glenn Rice.
Man, he about to get drafted. He old enough. He's 21, 22 years old, man.
He don't remember those guys. He doesn't remember them.
With draft week next week, man, what do you plan on doing all next week? What would be like your regimen next week? I know you're excited and nervous and all those things, but what are you gonna do next week to get prepared or just to relax?
Well, you know, the grind doesn't stop over here. You know, we're always working, so I'll get my guys from Miami. We're gonna go down to the school and work out and throw and do all that stuff, and I think that kind of just eases your mind a little bit, doing something that you're familiar with and having a strict schedule and living by it. You know, I'm a strong believer of that, so you know, I'm not gonna change that. And you know, the draft is towards the end of the week, so once we get closer to the draft, you know, I have some family and friends over at my house, and you know, we'll have just a time to relax, watch the draft, and just be surrounded by good people.
It sounds like a great thing. Again, do you ever allow yourself to look ahead and figure out what it's going to feel like, you know, to hear your name called, or do you look ahead and just say that, you know, it's here? It's, you know, again, this has been a long process. It's almost here. Have you allowed yourself to sort of look ahead that far?
I try not to, because I get a little teary-eyed just thinking the opportunity to be in the NFL and have that blessing. But for me, it's been, like I said, a grueling, long process. So anytime I'm able to just sit down and think about the draft and think about my future as in the NFL, you know, it just brings tears to my eyes. It's a blessing.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Steven, listen, before we let you get on out of here, a couple of things. Number one, stay humble and stay hungry, my friend. We don't want to see you get to the league and we be seeing you up in New York and you walking around New York City with shades on at night. We don't want to see you with that, all right?
No, boss, I'm good.
And remember, man, my friend, a setback is a setup for a comeback. I heard that you are outstanding coming out of that Manning Passing Academy and stuff. Yep. And, again, things didn't go right, but you know what? It's all a learning process for bigger and better things for you. And do us a favor. Once the draft is over and you get situated, before you go to camp and get all the rigors of getting prepared for the upcoming season, come back on, man. We'd love to share. We'd love to hear that experience of being a part of the National Football League.
I'd love to do so, man. Thank you so much, Gerald, JR, Chante. Have a great one, man. I appreciate it so much.
You too. Good luck.
Always. And we follow you on Twitter. Outstanding. Keep doing what you're doing, my friend. And we're rooting for you.
God bless. Y'all have a good one.
All right. Stephen Morris. Unbelievable, man. You can tell a young man has a good head on his shoulders, man.
Hey, let me ask y'all a question real quick, though. I just thought about something, because every Miami Heat fan person that we bring on the show, we ask them, were they a fan before? Have you ever met a Miami Heat fan that was a fan before LeBron got there? There were none.
No.
Every fan is a new fan.
But that's like you. You wasn't a Laker fan before they got there.
Get out of here.
You wasn't.
Thank you.
You wasn't a Laker fan. You wasn't a Laker fan at all.
Listen.
You was a Washington Bullets fan.
Nah, I was never that. I was never that. But I've been a Laker fan for like 15 years, 10 at least.
Oh, you wasn't.
And you know what? Gerald, let me ask you something. Who are you a fan of? Like, what team do you rock with?
You ain't got no NBA team. That's why I don't rock with it.
You know why? Because you know what? I had my heart stolen from me. I used to root for them Knickerbockers, but I don't get a check from them no more. I don't root for them no more. I'm a fan of good basketball. I used to like the Sacramento Kings. I've always rooted for the underdog. That's why I love my beloved Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I don't even think they should have applauded for that. Are you serious? Should you get applaud for cheering for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
No, just a random team, just because it's an underdog.
Like, who does that? He grows up in New York and he's like, hey, I just want the underdogs. Cheer for the Jets.
Right, exactly.
Well, if you must know, the reason why I attached my allegiance with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is because it was one of the few teams that had a coach that looked like me, an African American, and it was something that to aspire for. That again, we don't get a chance to really see. And I thought that, you know what, for the task that was at hand for him, again, you needed all the support, and that's why I fell in love with what Tony Dungy was doing, and he took the cast of characters there. And then when he couldn't get it done, we got his behind out of there too and said, Tony, get the stepping.
See? So it don't matter if you a black owner or a white owner. They getting you out of there. You ain't winning, they get you out of there.
But you know what, though? Honestly, that was the reason why I fell in love with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Because, again, it was the first time I saw an African-American coach that I said, you know what? And the man was doing the right thing, the way he wasn't boisterous, he wasn't all that, but just really down to it. And honestly, I have a lot of respect, man, and I pull for a guy like the Steelers head coach, Omar Epps and stuff. I really pull for him. I pull for Omar Epps, you know.
People call him Omar Epps. Real disrespectful. You see Omar Epps, he wearing dresses now, man. Get out of here.
You know, I really, really pull for Mike Tomlin, because until he won that Super Bowl, I thought it was going to be very, very difficult. And a familiar face joins us right now, Jake Fisher, basketball connoisseur extraordinaire. Jake, welcome, my friend. Long time no see. I know we're going to be talking to you real soon. Draft time is almost around the corner. But, Jake, I want to ask you to get your thoughts on that. There's reports that Steve Kerr is close to signing with the New York Knicks as the next head coach of the Knickerbockers. Good move or bad move?
Well, they got to hurry up quick before the Lakers start calling him up.
For real.
But I think for 2 years now I've been clamoring that Steve Kerr needs to get his shot at an NBA head coaching job. I mean, the second he went back to TNT sidelines after he left Phoenix, he just shows the great knowledge he has of the game. He's kept in touch with all these players. He's got one foot in the door already in terms of knowing people and knowing personnel and having people's confidence and trust in his abilities. I think he's going to come right in and hit the ground running, and I would be thrilled to have him as the coach of my team if he ended up going to the team that I was rooting for.
Yeah. Who is that? Is that you or?
You know that Chante, she live in L.A.
Chante?
It is me.
Chante, you okay? You doing anything? You know, I don't know. Jay, good move or bad move, Steve Kerr?
I like it.
Who, the Knicks or the Lakers?
Yeah, well, the Knicks. I mean, he's not going to the Lakers. D'Antoni's going to come back. Good move or bad move with Steve Kerr?
D'Antoni just resigned.
When?
No, he did? This is breaking news.
Literally 5 minutes ago.
You're
Like,
kidding.
I'm about to say about 5 minutes ago. I'm looking at it in the ticker.
Wow. Wow. Jake Fisher, you know what?
Whoa, breaking news.
Hollywood Jake.
Jake, and that's, and you know what? You can't blame that on Donald Sterling. So, Jake,
Wow.
if you look at that now, the Lakers are now without a coach. I didn't really, one of the things I was saying before, I saw this coming. I think the thing that really told me that this was perhaps going to happen is when he decided to say that he didn't want to be a lame duck coach and he wanted a contract extension and they chose not to give it to him. Was that just really the handwriting on the wall for him?
Yeah, well, what everyone's reporting is that he wanted that 15-16 option, and the Lakers weren't having that. They wanted to bring him. They were willing to bring him back for this upcoming 2014-2015 season, but after that, they did not want to hitch their wagon to him. And you can't blame them, to be honest, with the way that things have gone out there.
Yeah. So now you're talking about a guy like Steve Kerr. I mean, I don't know if Steve Kerr is a good fit in New York, and I'll tell you why. Because it's a team that is in flux. It would be different if this was if they were cleaning house the year after, in 15-16, he comes there and he's able to start fresh. I don't think that it's a good fit because you're working with a lot of guys that 9 times out of 10 is not going to be there. And I don't think he has the pedigree in order to gain the respect of a veteran type of team at that level. And the only reason why I think it worked in Phoenix for Jeff Hornacek, think about this. Goran Dragic was on the team, never really was the guy. P.J. Tucker, you had the Morris twins. Eric Bledsoe really was the understudy to Chris Paul and the Clippers. So there was really a lot of guys that were like really the role players. And then you just sort of able to infuse those guys. He's coming to a team where you got J.R. Smith, Tyson Chandler, Carmelo Anthony. I just don't see that being a good fit. J.R.?
I don't think it's less about good fit. I would say he has the pedigree. He's played with the Michael Jordan, the Scottie Pippen. He's played with the Spurs. He's been under Popovich. He's been under Phil Jackson. He has so many coaches that he's learned up under that I think he's more than ready to come in and do a great job in New York. Now, I'm not saying that they'll get along and it'll be a great season, but what I am saying is he does have the pedigree to go there and make it work.
Yeah. Chante and Jake, I don't think he has that pedigree that JR talks about because, yes, he has won championships, but he wasn't an integral part of a championship.
I gotta disagree, Gerald. I gotta disagree. Every person on that Chicago Bulls team, when they were winning, was an asset to that team. I don't think
Doug Bushler came up big, baby.
Hell, Bill Whittington should get a job then, right? What the hell, Bill Whittington.
You can't tell me Steve Kerr was an important part of that Chicago Bulls team.
I'm not saying he wasn't an important part, and I'm not trying to minimize that, but I think that as a former player, if you're talking about going into a team, a veteran-laden team such as the New York Knicks, you got to be able to get that respect from the players. And I'm not saying that they don't respect him.
They respect him, Gerald, because he has one. He knows what it takes.
He didn't carry the book bag on his back.
Look, he don't have to be Michael Jordan. He
doesn't have to be that. I mean, look at Jeff Hornacek. Hornacek carried a book bag at one time.
Steve Kerr did his job when it needed to be done. He knows exactly what it takes.
And shoot the ball. You better make it when
threes. Shoot them threes when we need it. If that's your job, that's your job. He knows what it takes to be win. He knows what it takes to be a team player. I mean, they need a guy like that. I think Steve Kerr will be great. He knows Phil Jackson's system. He's going to do whatever Phil Jackson wants him to do. He's going to run that triangle. I think the players will trust him. I don't see how this is bad other than he hasn't been a head coach before.
Yeah. Now, Jake.
The key word is Phil Jackson. If Phil Jackson comes to you as an NBA player and says, I have my full-hearted faith in this guy to lead you guys to the promised land, if you don't believe what Phil Jackson is preaching, there's something wrong with you. Yeah. Phil Jackson is the guy to tell you to believe in this guy. If you're not picking up what he's dropping, if you're not buying what he's selling, I don't know what else you're gonna do or what else can sell you on believing in a coach.
Well, the fact of the matter is he's never done that job before, and if it would be a different story if Steve
Neither did Jason Kidd. He's doing all right.
And you saw what type of hell he went through in New York City.
But look at his persona.
It's a different animal. It's a different animal.
But Jason Kidd as a person is different than Steve Kerr as a person.
Well, I think Jason Kidd's accolades are much different than JR. Help me out on this. Jason Kidd's accolades. Come on,
now,
he just wait.
But when you're coaching, though, who you are as a person matters.
That his accolades are different. I would agree, but I agree with Chante on Steve Kerr's personality. I mean, I think he was a GM or out Phoenix, so he knows stuff behind the scenes. That's credibility right there. He knows what it takes to build a team. And then he was on a team where it was built around two superstars and what they had to do, bringing in pieces. And I think he learned so much playing for great coaches that's what enabled him to be a good GM, and I think that's what it's going to enable him to be a good coach.
Yeah, and another thing, Gerald, him having that background of being a role player who's not necessarily demanded on having that full-time role, the fact that he knows how to be, number one, a player in that situation, and number two, how to add those types of guys to his team shows he'll have the capability of inspiring those guys and rallying those troops to not just have his top 2 or 3 players like Carmelo and JR play and give it their all night in and out. He's going to be able to dig deep into his bench, his 9th, 10th, 11th man, and get that guy to give it 110% and get the most out of those quality players.
And listen, Jake, I agree with you to a certain extent. I just think that he's set up to fail. Because think about it like this. It's nothing against him.
Can't get any worse. They're the Knicks. They can't get any worse, Gerald.
But, I mean, look. They had Larry Brown there, Lenny Wilkins. They've had countless coaches there that have had a ton of success. And the problem that exists right now is he's walking into a situation where he has a veteran-laden team that theoretically they're playing for their next destination next season. They're not going to be there the year after that. So the thing about it is I think that this is the reason perhaps why maybe he's taking a pause in terms of really deciding if he wants to latch up his wagons to the New York Knicks with Phil Jackson. It's a different story if Phil was on the bench as opposed to in the front office.
You just named 2 ancient, archaic coaches, man.
Well, Larry Brown is still winning at SMU.
All I'm saying is those dudes are super old. Outside of Popovich, there's not too many old coaches in this league anymore. Mm-hmm. So I hear what you're saying, but those guys couldn't relate. They were trying to coach a team in the 80s. Now in 2013 or 2014. I just don't think it was going to work.
Yeah. It'll be really interesting. Jake, who is your front runner early on before we let you get on out of here as our next guest is up? Who's your front runner early on for perhaps the Lakers job?
I have no idea. Someone said Byron Scott on Twitter, which doesn't make sense to me at all considering the way things went out for him in Cleveland. Mm-hmm. But I think they're going to have an offensive-minded coach, obviously, because that's the way that Kobe likes to focus on the game around. And I think they'll go with someone young.
You just named the coach.
Kobe. I think it should be Kobe. I think it should be just Kobe.
Come on, Gerald.
It should just be Kobe. It should just be Kobe. I think that would be good.
If you want to go Lakers players, if the Thunder get bounced in this first round, maybe take on Derek Fisher and give him a run.
You never know. You never know. Hey, Jake, let everybody, before we let you get on out, let everybody know what you got working on and what you have upcoming.
I'm waiting for the draft lottery to get into the draft process. I just sent my list of prospects who needs to know to my editor to start digging into these second-round prospect-type guys and try to figure out who's going to be the diamond in the rough. But Twitter, at Jake L. Fisher, JakelFischer. That's all you need to know to follow what I'm doing.
That's good. Hey, Jake, do me a favor. Let's keep in touch a little bit more. I mean, you talk to Chante now, all of a sudden, everything like that, you know, and everything. I don't understand this, Jake. I would get an email from you from time to time. Say,
I'm cool and you're not. I'm cool and you're not. Don't be.
There we go. There we go. Hey, Jake, we'll be talking to you real soon. Draft is right around the corner, and I can't wait to hear about these the second round diamond in the roughs. I saw one the other day. Fuquan went out of Seton Hall University. I'd love to get your
keep an eye on for sure.
Yeah, I'd definitely love to get your thoughts on that. But always a pleasure, Jake. We'll definitely talk to you real soon.
You got it. Take care, guys.
Jake Fisher. The man with the master plan. And let's keep the ball rolling. She's early, but never late. But that's a good thing. Miami Heat blogger, CassidyJordan, hanging out with us. CassidyJordan.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome.
Cassidy, welcome to the Bottom Line Sports Show. Gerald Brown.
Thank you for having me.
Chante Cheeks and the great J.R. Holden. I want to ask you right off the bat. Let's get right into it. The Miami Heat. We're getting a lot of love for Miami tonight. Do you realize that, Chante and J.R.? We're getting a lot of love. Stephen Morris. And then, we're getting a lot of love. Yeah, the Miami Heat.
I mean, they're winning. You're asking me why? Are you asking me why, Gerald?
No, I'm just saying we're getting a lot of love from Miami. I mean,
she's gone in left field, Gerald. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's just.
I don't have any love for Miami.
Well, you're just well, you know what? You're a disgruntled Washington Bullets fan.
No, don't put that out in the universe. I never rooted for the Wizards. Come on now, G.
So when you lived in Washington, you was a Lakers fan.
Yes.
Gerald,
now when I was a little girl,
That's all she knows. She's the front runner.
Negative. When I was a little girl and I lived in Massachusetts, I was a Boston Celtics fan.
Oh boy.
Boston and LA. Seriously, Gerald.
Yes.
Have you ever heard of someone says I'm a Celtic fan and a
Lakers fan?
Ever?
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. That's unheard of. You don't do that. Because that's the enemy. That's like Donald Sterling say, that's the enemy.
No, I've been a Laker fan since I was like 15 years old. It's been like 20 years. Get out of here.
Yeah, please. Well, let's get to Cassidy. Cassidy, thanks again for joining us. Cassidy, with the Miami Heat facing no threat by the Charlotte Bobcats and really being able to have an extended rest and seeing the Indiana Pacers really struggle to potentially losing the Atlanta Hawks, is the city of Miami Heat fans already making plans for the NBA Finals in Miami?
Well, I mean, as long as LeBron is in a Miami Heat uniform, I feel like Miami Heat fans are going to expect to make it to the finals. I mean, going into the season, the Pacers were our number one threat coming out of the Eastern Conference, and we kind of struggled with them in the regular season. We were 2-2, I believe. Yeah, 2-2. So seeing them struggle in the first round is definitely a sigh of relief for Heat fans. As far as sweeping the Bobcats goes, watching the series, I kind of felt like I was watching a scrimmage as opposed to the first round of the NBA playoffs.
Spoiled.
Yeah, we are spoiled. But I mean, being the only team to advance without difficulty is definitely a confidence booster. And I mean, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if we see any Heat fans with Miami Heat 2014 NBA champions tattoos anytime soon. Going viral on the internet, I would not be surprised.
CassidyJordan.
You're spoiled.
Confident, boy. Confident.
This is crazy. I hope Miami loses.
Oh.
Cassidy, with LeBron opting out of his deal this offseason, Dwayne Wade with all his injury issues, has there been any talk amongst the fans? Are they nervous that LeBron might leave and go to another team? You know he's not loyal.
Yeah, these players are loyal.
Cut it out. He's loyal.
That we know of. But I mean, there's definitely been some talk. Earlier in the year, when they asked him, if he could see himself leaving Miami, he said, at this point, I can't see myself leaving. But I mean, he also went on to say, we don't know what can happen from now until July. So I mean, we can sit here and try to dissect everything that the man says, but I mean, he's no stranger to these types of questions. All his responses are premeditated. I mean, he says things to convince fans that he's going to stay, all the while giving himself enough wiggle room to leave without being able to be called a liar or a traitor, all that good stuff that Cleveland fans called him. And I mean, there are those well-connected Miami socialites that, say, oh yeah, well, I heard this and that from LeBron's camp, suggesting that he might make a departure for Miami. But I mean, I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
One of the things. She is CassidyJordan, the Miami Heat blogger extraordinaire. She got the little smile, cocky. Just like, yeah, we're going to get here. I mean, I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at you. Love it.
I am not
Once he
talking.
leaves, y'all
I mean,
might not get another championship for about another 20 years. LeBron's son might get y'all a championship. But enjoy it. Though. I'm not hating. I'm not hating.
yeah, you can't hate. You can't hate on greatness.
Man, I don't even know if I should ask this next question. You guys make this. If you guys make this run and you do win another championship, and LeBron does decide to leave, will your fans be okay with knowing that you won 3 out of 4 and you lived up to at least half of what they said they would do? Or do you think that the fans will really be upset and not be okay with everything you've already accomplished?
I mean, I feel like the fans will be upset. I mean, of course they're going to be upset. We're spoiled. We're used to a winning culture, I guess you could say. How upset they'll be, I guess, depends on the future of the other 2 superstars. With Dwayne Wade and his health. Chris Bosh also has the option to opt out. You might decide to pursue the max money he declined to get LeBron here in the first place. So overall, like, Miami isn't really a sports town, so it's not the same as LeBron leaving Cleveland. I can't see any Heat fans burning jerseys and stuff. I mean, they'll be upset, but I don't see any of that type of outlash. And you definitely won't see Heat owner Mickey Arison writing any nasty letters or anything. So
that is really something. I mean, again, Miami's just such a place that I don't think you can get upset. I think it was only get upset if it's like 40 degrees outside.
Yep, the weather.
Yes, if it's like 50 degrees, people perhaps get all upset and everything. Like I mentioned, Cassidy, the Heat now wait for the Nets and Raptors winner of their series, and they're going to have a nice extended break before they start up the conference semifinals. Is too much rest bad for this Heat team?
I mean, one of the biggest obstacles, surrounding trying to get a three-peat and win another championship is basically whether or not we have the energy or the legs to make it that far. I mean, we've been here before. We're a veteran team. We're coming off of 3 straight finals appearances. So that's about, I want to say, 70 postseason games, including this year's postseason games so far, and over the past 4 years. And plus the grind of an 82-game regular season times 4. So with 12 more games out of 21 possible games, I'm pretty sure we need all the rest we can get.
I don't know about that. I think that too much rest would be. We saw the Spurs.
I feel like that's a myth. I feel like we definitely need the rest. I don't think we're going to be complaining.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I think the rest will do, especially players like D-Wade. Sometimes LeBron, they need it. Cassidy, as you just mentioned, Miami is not really a sports city. Like, the fans aren't that diehard. Tell us how was it when they won their last championship? Like, how long did that party last? How long were people excited about it?
I mean, Miami was absolutely insane. Like, downtown, which the arena's downtown, not South Beach, like LeBron taking his talents to South Beach. It's definitely downtown Miami. Biscayne Boulevard, which is where the arena is, it was full of people. You couldn't even get across the street. People were banging pots and pans, honking car horns. And I even got calls from my family members in Palm Beach, which is like an hour north of Miami, saying that people were doing the same thing there. And the after party celebration, yeah, it's crazy. The after party celebration was at Club Story, and that's in South Beach. And it was like packed to capacity. And when I mean this club is huge, it is huge. Like, I think the capacity is like 5,000-6,000 people. It was crazy, but it was packed to capacity. Entertainers, the whole front office. I think the only person that was missing was like Shane Battier. He like went to Denny's after the championship. It's crazy.
Good for you, Shane. That's funny. I like it.
Yeah, and even members of the opposing team decided to stop by. But I mean, as crazy it was for me, I don't think it was. It wasn't as sweet as the 06 championship celebration. I mean, being old enough this time, I mean, I am pretty young. So being old enough to celebrate with these guys, it was pretty fun, but the championship this year wasn't as sweet for me. But it was crazy in Miami. And the party in Miami never stops. But I want to say the celebration died down maybe after the parade. after the championship parade, for sure.
Heat blogger Cassidy Jordan joining us here on the Bottom Line Sports Show. Gerald Brown, the great J.R. Holden, Chante Cheeks. Every Wednesday night, here on the Bottom Line Sports Show, you always get somebody bigger and better. She said championships. I kind of can relate to that because that's like going through the whole process with the Yankees and stuff and the great run that the Yankees were on, each World Series that they go on. You know what I mean? I understand that when you know championships. Go ahead, JR. Stop.
This guy right here.
Stop,
this guy right here.
Stop.
Man.
You need to stop, Jeff.
You just said Miami is not like a huge sports town, but have they embraced LeBron more than they've been maybe socially conscious about the Trayvon Martin issue or even Donald Sterling's, remarks? Have they supported the Clippers, with Donald Sterling's remarks? Or is this like a LeBron city and the rest of the world, it is what it is?
I mean, we definitely supported, LeBron when he wanted to, support the Clippers or support Trayvon Martin and his family in social media and stuff. Like, Miami is an extremely diverse city. Like, we have all different types of people, all different types of culture. Like, you walk into the arena, you see every color, every nationality, every ethnicity you can find. And you don't really hear much about racial discrimination in Miami. So the Donald Sterling remarks definitely resonated with the people in Miami. Like, I don't think people in Miami could fathom that anyone could feel that way towards people just based on the color of their skin. And as far as the Trayvon Martin issue, the situation hit home for many of the Heat players, being that they have sons living in Florida who could have met the same fate as Trayvon based on the ignorance of a now free man. So we definitely support LeBron with that.
It's a LeBron city.
Yeah, it's definitely LeBron city. We support whatever he does, but for sure.
That's good. Cassidy, listen, thanks again for joining us. Did a great job.
Really, thank you for having me.
Did a great job. Got her little Miami Heat facts, and she said all that stuff. Listen, we got look at that. Hey, look at it.
I got it.
You gotta do it again. Let's see it again. We gotta see it again. Hey, Cassidy, let everybody know where they can follow you and everything that you have going on.
Well, you can follow me at CassidyJordan. That's CassidyJordan. That's both on Twitter and Instagram. And you can find me on Facebook, CassidyJordan can. So that's it.
Doing it. Cassidy, listen, thanks again for joining us. Look forward to doing this again as the Miami Heat continue to march on for the three-peat. And we'll be talking to you, obviously, with them in the NBA Finals. But definitely look forward to having you on in the near future.
Thank you for having me. See you when we make it there.
I'm going to blow your Twitter up. So you're going to hope
I'll see you when we make it there.
Twitter up.
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Always a pleasure. Cassidy Jordan.
Take care, Cassidy.
You too.
It's on point. I like that. See? I like that. But, again, it was...
Gerald, let me ask you something, man. I'm dying.
We on there.
I mean,
don't have an old apologies moment.
PG, keep it a PG though. Very beautiful girl, but I'm just asking, Gerald. A lot of women talk about sports. All the women in the sports world. Do you just go pick and find like the pretty ones? Like the ones that are appealing? Like how is every girl on this show? Like I don't care.
Well, I don't know
what's the criteria? What's the criteria to get on this show?
Well, you just have to know your sports. I mean, I don't know.
Discriminate? Do you discriminate?
I don't know what you're talking about. It's funny because a lot of people reach out to me, and
you pick through like, okay, let me see your Instagram first.
I told you not to do that. I told you you have an old apologies moment. Hey, there's nothing wrong with a little eye candy. I mean,
I'm not
for the fellas, and for the ladies, there's nothing wrong with a little eye candy and stuff like that. But I mean, one of the prerequisites, you got to know your sports, and that's first and foremost. Stop, Chante, stop. Stop, Chante. You know what, Chante? I'm telling you, man. When I see you again, yo, put you in a headline, give you a noogie, yo.
Yo, I got actual tears in my eyes.
Yo, stop, man. Yo. As soon as she went off air, I just kept saying, you know what? Chante, you was like, Gerald, I gotta ask you though. I was like, oh, I know it's coming. I know it's coming. I want to ask you guys. I want to ask you both some questions, and really, we jumped around a lot and really just covered so much in terms of with the Donald Sterling stuff. But I wanted to ask you really some of the stuff that's taking place actually on the basketball court in terms of Miami and Charlotte series. Outside of that series, JR, has this year's playoff seedings been misleading?
I wouldn't say misleading. We all knew the West would be a monster. We all knew that. So it didn't matter if it was the 1 versus 8, the 3 versus 6, or I just don't think it mattered. The seeding in the West really did not matter. We knew Phoenix could have been a dogfight with anybody because they could have made it. So I just felt like the West didn't matter. The East, I think it was a little misleading just because Toronto and the Bulls did something that most didn't think they would do this year as far as being that top 5. So that is misleading because I do believe the Nets are a better team than the Raptors and the Bulls, and they're a 6 seed. So it is a little misleading, but when you look at it, the Hawks are about to, they're 1 game away from taking out the Pacers. So although they may be misleading in the East, I feel like they're right on point in the West, and in the East really. With the way the games are being played, the Nets and the Raptors might be the only one, and the Wizards, of course, but that was a 4-5 matchup, so that goes either way.
Yeah, I agree with you. 4-5 matchup sometimes, again, it's just really pick 'em, and I'd say the situation is the same perhaps with the Houston and Portland series. But, Chante, I don't look at Indiana as a big upset in terms of with the Indiana Pacers simply because their style of play. Keep in mind, these two teams split the 4 games. And yet the fact is they really shot the ball from the perimeter, and they're a very difficult team, a la somewhat like the Miami Heat is for the Indiana Pacers. But if you look at the seeding, Dallas has won 2 games. I thought that would have been a really maybe a 1-game series. OKC is in trouble. Has the seedings all the way across the board been kind of misleading?
I gotta say it's kind of misleading. I agree with Brooklyn, Toronto. I thought the Pacers would sweep the Atlanta Hawks. Honestly, I thought the Spurs would handle Dallas in 5, and they're struggling. I can't believe how bad OKC is struggling against Memphis. So really, to me, the seedings were so misleading that you almost didn't need to pay attention to them because they seem so equal, all of these matchups, everyone besides Miami.
Yeah. Right, so that's why they're not misleading. Really, in the West, there shouldn't be any seedings. We knew going into this, Memphis played 25 games without Marc Gasol, so we knew that they would be a tough out in the playoffs. So I didn't feel like does it really matter what seed they are? That's why they're not misleading to me. Nobody wanted Memphis. Every team was like, we don't want the Grizzlies. And we all knew that the 3-6 matchup with the Clippers and Golden State could go either way because of the Splash Brothers and what they did last year. So I just feel like out West, it don't matter. Just put 8 teams in there and say, let the 8 play against each other and get the winner.
Yeah. Right. But what about a series like the Atlanta and Indiana? I think Atlanta won 37 games. I think that perhaps they're a lot better than just, again, that 37 win. A good matchup. But then also look at the flip side of that with Dallas and San Antonio. I mean, although Dallas has lost to them 9 consecutive times. And I was surprised that Dallas has won 2 games in this series. And potentially, if DeJuan Blair, another Pittsburgh guy, had a bozo moment, he would have been in a situation possibly helped them out. I mean, it's just really sometimes misleading and stuff.
Well, in Dallas, I still think that this was Monte Ellis' first year. Nobody thought Devin Harris was going to come out and play the way he's been playing in this playoffs. And then you have Monte Ellis and Dirk Nowitzki that are finally starting to mesh. Anytime Monte Ellis is leading the crew right now, not Dirk. And I think having Dirk as the number 2 and not the number 1 I think has confused the Spurs a little bit. They cannot really match up right now with Monte Ellis. He's been a problem. And then with the big guys and Vince Carter playing like he's 29 instead of 39, I mean, it's been an issue. The Hawks, to me, I'm not a believer in the Hawks were a bad matchup. I believe that these guys aren't buckling down and doing what they do. At the end of the day, if they got to shoot 53s to beat you, they're usually not going to beat you. But the Pacers aren't playing good offense. You have Roy Hibbert, and you can't get the ball down low. You have Paul George, and he has a mismatch with Kyle Korver. At some point, you got to exploit the mismatches because they are. They have to play Kyle Korver because he's a shooter. They have to play Antich and what's the other guy? Millsap. And you can't play Hibbert and David West and get easy layups while they shoot threes. So to me, at some point, you got to start looking at my players. And
get the ball to Hibbert so he can do what with it, JR?
It's not a good matchup for him.
He had 0 points and 0 rebounds the other night.
Well, when I say get the ball to Hibbert, we all know that the first maybe 50 games of this year and last year, Hibbert is good for 14 to 16 points and 10 rebounds a game. So regardless of what he's doing this series, his track record has been he can dominate teams that don't have a real big man. The reason why the Heat have problems with them is because he usually dominates the inside. Well, the Hawks don't have a big guy, and he can't dominate the inside. So telling me that Hibbert is not a good player, I'm not going to believe that. I'm thinking he's having a bad series.
No, I'm just saying right now.
He would have been the advantage because I'd rather shoot layups than threes, and I thought Hibbert would give him that advantage.
Yeah. Let's move on. You know, when we look at a situation with the Bulls losing in the playoffs due to lack of offense, does this mean, JR, that the theory defense wins championship is not the case anymore in the NBA?
No. I'm going to say Carlos Boozer's a bum, and that's the reason. They paid a guy a lot of money to come over and be the number 2, and he's turning out to be the number 5, the 5th option on a team where he was supposed to be with Derrick Rose. Joakim Noah's probably their first option who can't score, and then you have Jimmy Butler and you have Kirk Heinrich and all these guys. What's the name? Augustine has come in and been like the star on that team, and he couldn't even stick with the Bobcats. So to me, when you say they can't score, I'm saying that they went and got a guy who was supposed to lead, and he hasn't led. And I think Boozer's out of there because of it.
Yeah. Chante, I mean, again, if you look at it, Chicago, you know, a lot of the blame JR talked about, but, you know, it's one guy that they're missing, which was a pivotal piece to their team. And even when they had Derrick Rose, this team really struggled offensively, and thus that is why they're really focusing a lot of attention perhaps on Carmelo Anthony. Have we seen the whole notion that defense is going to win championships, a shift in regards to that in the NBA? Is it all predicated on offense?
I don't want to believe that. I still believe defense wins games. The Bulls, they really didn't have – I mean, yeah, they couldn't create offense, but they really didn't look like they had gas. Like, if you watched them last season in the playoffs, they had a little more fight. Like, they had more gas in them battling Miami Heat. Nate Robinson just gave them a mental and physical push that they needed, and I didn't see that from any player on the team, not even Joakim Noah. So I just think they just ran out of gas. It didn't look like anybody was stepping up. It just looked like they couldn't hang in there.
Yeah.
My question to you, Gerald, is would you believe that with Memphis up on OKC that defense doesn't win championships?
I just, you know what, I have to say yes. Because the thing about it is, if you look at the numbers in both Chicago and Memphis, they're kind of mirror images of each other in terms of very solid teams defensively, but they really struggle. And keep in mind, Memphis has shot the ball very well. This is a team that struggled to score about 90 points. Their point differential was like, I think, 1 or 2 in terms of, you know, the points that they give up as opposed to the points they score. So their track record really hasn't been one that, I just don't think that really – I think that you're going to need offense in order to win in the NBA in this day and age. It's no more of that. I mean, think about it. Chicago this season, they won 48 games. They allowed 93 points. Excuse me, they scored 93.7. but they allowed 91.8. So they allowed probably much like 92 points a game. And then if you look at the Memphis Grizzlies, they won 50 games. They scored an average of 96 points a game. But here's the thing. They allowed 94.6, so they allow about 95 points per game. So it's just a small window, and both of these teams have really struggled. But if Chante, if the Thunder lose their first round series to the Grizzlies, should the blame be directed towards Kevin Durant? And is that fair?
He should take a lot of the blame. I don't know if it's fair. It's really a team issue. It's kind of a coaching issue as well. They just don't seem to be gelling, and I don't know if you can blame that on Kevin Durant. The blame I put on him is he isn't stepping up as the leader he should be. He doesn't seem to be vocal. He doesn't seem to be taking over when he should. He's not asking for the ball. He's letting Westbrook do whatever, and he seems to be okay with it, just being, the decoy, like I heard him say in his interview the other night. And that's not cool for the MVP, supposedly, and for the leading scorer in the league. So he does get that blame, but it's also a coaching issue. It's a Westbrook issue. It's the entire team.
JR, I mean, can some type of blame, if not all of it, be directed towards him? And would that be fair?
It would definitely be fair. You want to be a superstar, this is what superstars get. You want to be in a class with LeBron, this is what you get. You want to be one of the top 25 or 50 ever to play the game, this is what you got to get. I mean, championships are what we, as media and us as fans of the sport, this is what we appreciate in being a star. And I think stars have to rise when it matters most. And Kevin Durant is held accountable. You don't think Michael Jordan ever had to pull Scottie Pippen aside and get in his chest? You don't think, shoot, Kobe Bryant does it on national TV. I think sometimes you just have to do things in order to be a leader and to be a champion. And right now, I don't know if he knows what it takes.
Yeah, I think that, again, it's still a growing process. I think the thing about it is that we want him to be great so fast. And I mean, again, we look at LeBron James and we see Kevin Durant. LeBron is the best player in the league. There are a lot of people saying Kevin Durant is the second best player in the league. I wouldn't knock that, but I think that with those labels, the automatic thought and perception is they are a complete product, and that's not the case for him. And as we said before, I had said this before, in terms of it might be a situation that Kevin Durant might be better off without Russell Westbrook, because in some regards, Russell is a dominating individual. He's going to go at you. He's going to really go at you. And keep in mind, a lot of people put a lot of criticism towards Russell Westbrook, but that was a young man that really stepped up in that NBA Finals when James Harden really struggled. And then also, I don't put a lot of blame on him. I'm putting a lot of blame on Scott Brooks, because once again, the team has no depth when it comes to the bench. You got to extend the bench. That's been a big, big problem. JR, before we let you get on out of here, a couple more quick questions. Is it safe to say if the Pacers lose this series, they'll be broken up? And will that be a smart move?
I don't know. I can't even answer this one, because I don't know if it's fair. Like you just said, it's really 1 year. You said it takes more than 1 year to be a superstar. It's okay for 1 year to be a star, but to be a superstar, it has to be 3, 4, 5 years. You've always said that. Do you break a team up after just one real playoff letdown, or do you give it a chance? Because last year they were on the verge. They were one game away from the finals. Now, do you break them up? I don't know. I say no, but I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I struggle with that too. But here's the thing. I don't think you theoretically break it up, but you have to tinker with it. They got to get a point guard. JR, I would call Danny Ainge if I was Larry Bird, beg him, treat him to dinner, buy him gifts to try to get Rajon Rondo. This is the team that's a totally different team with a point guard. George Hill is not the answer. You can't have Paul George running the offense and being the focal point and setting up guys. Chante, do they break the team up? You're the GM. Would you break this team up after garnering the number one seed, home court advantage in the East End? That was what you told everybody, and we were all led to believe. And thus, they're going out not the second round, but the first round. Do you break them up?
100%, without a doubt, breaking them up. This team has so many deep issues beyond the court that don't seem to be repairable. I need guys who can play together, and it won't get mentally, unbalanced because something's happening between them or in their personal life or whatever. There's so many rumors going around in that locker room. I don't think they can stay together in order for it to work out, and they need some veterans, some sort of leadership, rather than a bunch of young guys going around. And I don't know if Rajon Rondo would be an asset. Of course, he'd be an asset, but I mean, in the sense that he has his own, like he gets attitudes too. You need somebody in there that can help that locker room out because that's their issue, and they just let it affect how they play on the court.
Yeah, I think they need somebody in there because, again, when things got tough and times got hard, they really didn't have anybody to lead on, and they just really floated different ways. And I think also, too, is a situation where Lance Stevenson got a lot of flack or whatever. Maybe it wasn't right, maybe it was wrong, but, again, it is a contract year. Floyd Mayweather will fight Marcos Maidana this weekend. At what point are we are we at the point right now that there are no more quality opponents for Floyd to fight?
We don't care. We don't care. We already know the winner. Who cares? We don't even need to watch it. I mean, it's ridiculous. I don't care. I'll look on Twitter to see when Floyd Mayweather won, to see what round it ended in.
JR, Floyd along with Diddy, Oprah Winfrey have all stated that they would like to purchase the Clippers. Will the Clippers need a high-profile owner?
Please, God, no.
Honestly, this is all hype. Like I said, it's because it just now ended that we have all these people that want to buy it. I think we got to wait for it to die down. Let us come back to me in 2-3 weeks, and then we'll be able to talk about it. But I think Diddy said he wants it. This person wants it. I don't think it has to be held profile. I just think it has to be a good person.
Take that. You don't want to be going to the game, Chante? Take that. Bad boy.
No, wait. Could you imagine Floyd Mayweather, the owner of the Clippers? I mean, his ego is already stupid. Can you imagine?
It would be bankrupt. They'd be bankrupt.
It would be sick.
Bankrupt. 2 years.
He'll be gambling on the team. I mean, he does a bunch of racial things himself. He'll wear a Mexican hat to make fun of Oscar De La Hoya. I mean, there's no way.
No, but you won't have to worry about him, and that was one of the things Charles Oakley told me today. You're not getting, because of his past and his track record, he's been arrested and did jail time. You're not getting a chance.
Women.
Yeah, you're not getting a chance to do that. But Oprah, maybe at lunch, at halftime, you have an Oprah book club.
I think that'd be cool. That'd be nice. So a female Oprah, that'd be nice.
Oprah should be having a book club meeting. You just say everything is owned, all her own network.
Oprah mess around and hire the first female coach.
Yeah, that would be a situation. That'd be very, very interesting.
Don't do it.
Talk about dudes. Talk about, yo, we watching film with our coach late at night. They talk about watching film.
You talking about the red eyes after games?
Coach, why you always sitting in the back with Chris Paul? With Blake? Why you always in the back with Blake?
Y'all are ridiculous.
But again, I really believe that it'd be a situation that the NBA would feel very comfortable if Magic Johnson is on. So don't be surprised that Magic Johnson will be the primary individual that they would want to buy and purchase this franchise in LA. Before we get on out of here, JR, who wins the Mayweather? Mayweather wins the fight. What round?
This dude, he's fighting, beat up his little brother, so he'll probably win it. He'll probably win in 8.
Chante?
I think it goes the distance. I don't know. I mean, how much power Mayweather has anymore. He never knocks anybody out. It's going all 12 rounds.
Yeah. What's your bottom line for tonight, Chante?
Bottom line, I know we just went through this whole Donald Sterling thing, and I know we dislike him, but I just gotta say, prayers go out to him because yesterday, after he went through that whole thing with Adam Silver, but his son also died of a drug overdose.
Oh wow!
So prayers go out to the Sterlings.
Yeah, they definitely echo those same sentiments, and I kind of thought it was low. But it really was just so interesting how the NBA really just wanted to paint this so bad image of him that, they do the gone fishing on Inside the NBA with the TNT guys. they showed a picture of him on a boat capsized. And I was just really interested. I just said, wow, trying to make humor of this whole situation. But still in all, again, echo those same sentiments. JR?
Oh man, everybody's on the Sterling thing. I really just want to say that racism is worldwide and is in more than just sports. It's in business. It's in a lot of things. And I hope that this doesn't just open the eye of athletes or people just for this moment, but that we can maintain this and hold a certain level or certain standard for us throughout everything we do, whether it's in business, whether it's in sports, or whether it's doing, commentating. I just really hope that this is something that transcends and stays at a certain level for longer than just a day.
Yeah, here. I echo those same sentiments as well. I'm not going to go on the Donald Sterling thing, but my bottom line has to deal with Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid basically calling out NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell to follow suit of his NBA counterpart and Adam Silver and forcing Daniel Snyder, the owner of the Washington franchise, to change their name, which has been a long time coming, and it's an insult to the Native Americans. And it's just really sad to see that, again, as we continue to move forward, there's still a long ways to go, because this is an individual that said he refuses to change the name because it's synonymous with success of the Washington franchise. I try not to even say it anymore because, again, it really plays in there. So, once again, we're back to square one. Adam Silver has put Roger Goodell on notice in terms of really changing that name of that franchise. And I'm very, very surprised about that because, still in all, yes, it's associated with a lot of success, but it's also associated with so much disrespect to Native Americans. And I'm very, very surprised that Daniel Snyder has refused to change it. But more importantly, let's see which direction this will go now in terms of, really seeing what happened with Donald Sterling. See if this will be the same situation that transpires with a guy like Daniel Snyder. It's been a great show. I'd like to thank Stephen Morris. Best wishes to him as he gets ready for the draft. I'd like to thank Charlie Bell. I'd like to thank CassidyJordan.
Thanks, Cassidy.
This guy right here, man. This guy.
That's Chante.
This guy right here, man.
Don't forget next week. Next week Rita Hubbard will be on the breakdown NFL draft.
Rita Hubbard now. Here we go. Rita,
we got the NFL draft next Thursday starting up. For Chante Cheeks, J.R. Holden, I'm Gerald Brown. Thank you so much. We'll be back next Wednesday, 9 o'clock. Bottom Line Sports Show's out. We say peace.
Cassidy and Rita at the same time.